In this video, we're going to talk about the biggest mistake men make after a divorce or a breakup. And in fact, if you keep doing this, if you keep making this mistake, I can guarantee the fact that you're not going to be able to move on, you're not going to be able to reattract your wife, and you're going to be like a weirdo when you're trying to go and approach other women. Or worse yet, you'll get with somebody who has toxic red flags, and you'll repeat the same mistakes that you had in your marriage. And nobody wants to do that. Every guy that I know of, and myself included, we always wanted to upgrade. We always wanted to do better. Date somebody better. Because if we don't try to upgrade, if we don't feel like we have somebody better in our life than the one that we lost, we're always going to be looking into the past. We're going to look back at the person who got away. And then because of that, we're going to look at our own self-value and be like, well, I couldn't do it. I couldn't be the guy I needed to be. And I let it happen. And I let it go, get away from me. And so I get with somebody else, and my insecurity drives my actions because I'm just feeling not very worthwhile inside. I don't feel like I really matter that much. And so it makes me weird when I go to talk to other women. It makes me more insecure. And then when I do get into a relationship, what I do is I text her all the time because I want that reassurance. And then what ends up happening is my insecure behavior ends up driving women away. And oftentimes I won't even be able to see it because it's just the natural way that I act. Be in this place of just wondering what the fuck's going on. Why are there no good women out there? Why is my dating apps not working for me? Brother, this is the result of what happens if you keep making the same mistake. And if you keep making the same mistake, you will stay stuck, mark my words. And generally, it's not something that guys can just find. And the mistake is this. I am not diving into my psychology. I'm not finding out what truly is happening within myself. And I'm not willing to tell the truth about myself. I'm not willing to tell the truth about myself and then express that truth out in the dating marketplace. And not even there, just with all of my friends, with my family, with the people that matter to me, my coworkers or my clients. Like I can't be who I am and I have to pretend to be something else because there's this deep down feeling that I don't matter. And so we're going to talk about the 4 ways that men do this. And if you're able to get through this, and if you're able to hit every one of these, you'll be able to move on from your relationship incredibly quickly. It does not take years to get over a marriage. We have had over 4,000 guys in counting come through the Broken to Badass program, and we have guys coming into the new Soul Seducer program. And it has been shown it doesn't take years to get over a marriage. It doesn't take years to get over divorce. It doesn't take years to get over being cheated on. It takes months at best. Weeks, if you really put the tools in and you're a whole ass badass with it. This is why you will hear me on this channel talk so badly about how marriage counseling doesn't really serve men. It doesn't really serve marriages because they don't give you the tools necessary to actually move you forward as fast as possible. That's why we made the program. That's why I made the program. These are the tools that work for me. But anyways, let's get into the 4 things that you can do today so that you can start moving forward, so you can have powerful relationships moving forward, and it doesn't keep affecting you for the rest of your life. My name is Ed Baxter, and I help guys in betrayal situations. I've coached thousands of men, tens of thousands of men who come through my doors in one form or another. I've had over 3,000 guys come through the Betrayed to Badass program, and that's what we do. We'll get you to that place where you make the right decision for you and your children. 1, stop avoiding the pain. It sucks. It does. The first thing is we have to feel the pain. As men, we want to avoid it. We're not really comfortable dealing with our emotional state all the time. Most of the time, men are only allowed to have a few key emotions, which is like happiness, anger, laughter, and horniness. It's like all we are allowed to do. We get some anxiety too, frustration, but like we're not really allowed to be sad. We're not really allowed to be fearful. We're not really allowed to have any of the other things in the spectrum of emotions that could come to us. And so we're in this place where we're isolated and alone. And oftentimes men, the only person that they have any kind of interaction with emotionally is their wife. And then when this lady leaves him or she cheats on him, he's like, well, the only emotional outlet, the only caretaking I've ever gotten, the only affection that somebody else has given me in my life is from my wife. The only person I might respect is my wife, and that's it. And so guys, when they're in a relationship with other men, they don't typically get real close. They're not touching on each other. They're not hugging it up. You know, you might get a bros fist bump. You might get a good job, but they're not like really in there with your life, and they can't be because they're all overwhelmed with their own as well. And so men don't really get this, and their only source of affection, their only source of emotional outlet is with their wife. And so when their wife cheats on him and she tells him that he's the fucking problem, he's like, well, I guess none of that stuff was valid. And so instead of going in and trying to dive into the pain and really feel this out, what he does is he doubles down on what he knows works and has worked for him in the past, which is to bury it and suppress it, stuff it all in a tiny box and throw it under the stairs, hoping never to see it again. And then years later, what ends up happening is there's no more room under the stairs. And now he wonders why he has an anxiety issue. He wonders why he has to take Xanax all the fucking time. It's like, yeah, dude, you're overloaded. You're overloaded with all the bullshit in your life, and you stuffed it under the stairs, and now you can't even deal with the credit card debt of your emotions. You start feeling like life is hopeless. And when hopelessness sets in, that's when depression sets in. And then when you start looking at your life, you're trapped in this fucking box of your own emotional state and the stories that restrict you, and there you go. Now you're just going to be isolated. You're going to be like this hermit, or you're going to drink yourself stupid. And so the first step is you have to face your emotions. You have to have this come to Jesus type of a moment where you're like, holy shit, I have to look at myself. And I have to take an honest look at who I am and have to endeavor to be unapologetically myself. Because when I was going through this back in 15, when I was betrayed, I realized that I could be what everybody else wanted in the world and it still wouldn't be enough. I could be whatever my wife wanted. I could be whatever society wanted of me. I could be whatever my boss wanted. And then they could still lose in the end. So it's like, what's the fucking point? What's the point? Maybe if I just said, you know what, fuck it. I would rather be single than have to deal with another day of manipulation, another day of betrayal. Because at least in that place, I could be who I am. And I could be true to myself, even if it meant I was single forever. And you have to get to this place where you're not going to tolerate it anymore. Where you're not going to tolerate hiding. You're not going to tolerate being all completely overwhelmed with your emotional state and being insecure and afraid all the time. And once you get intolerant of it, there's a sense of breakthrough, the sense of liberation and freedom. And it's like the spell that's been over you just breaks. And all of a sudden, it's like the clouds part and you can see hope again for the first time. In the Broken to Badass program, it takes guys about 10 days to get to that point. So he's like, let's say he found out that his wife was cheating on him today. And he gets on a call with our guys and he joins tonight or he joins tomorrow morning. I know from that point forward, if he's doing all the stuff, within 10 days, he'll be out of that pit. Sounds crazy? Yeah, I thought it was crazy too until I started seeing it happen every fucking time. And this is why I got so frustrated with psychology, because they were not getting these kind of results. And I was like, what is this? This is not that complicated, people. Like, why are we having these kind of problems with guys? Give men direction. They need a plan. It's like, you go there and you lay on the couch and you bitch for an hour. And then before you know it, you're like, okay, well, what do I do? Like, counselor, tell me what should I do? Well, you should probably start setting some boundaries. Okay, what the fuck is a boundary? Well, it's, you got to tell her no about stuff. Yeah, but it's going to turn into a fight. Like, what do I do then? Well, just try not to engage and, and try to keep the peace. It's like, well, fuck, keeping the peace is what got me here. And then you start getting frustrated with the counselor, and then she just gets upset at you. She's like, well, you need to calm down. It's like, I don't need to fucking calm down. I'm upset. I'm not allowed to have feelings. Can't have feelings here. I can't be frustrated with you. You get all afraid and scared. Like, what the fuck? So anyways, getting off on a tangent here, you can tell I'm very passionate about this subject because I care about you, and I care about men going through this quite heavily. So what is the next thing we have to do? The next thing we don't do is jump into another relationship. And so most guys, if they get out of a relationship and they're completely heartbroken, especially if they've been in like a narcissistic abusive relationship, they're trauma bonded, what they'll want to do is they want to get in another relationship as fast as possible because they feel this hole of this emotional addiction called a codependency. And when codependency breaks or one person exits out of the codependency game, what ends up happening is you have this massive anxiety spike. Why? Because you're an emotional addict with this person. And so what you're feeling is a withdrawal. And the withdrawal is this spike of anxiety where you need her validation to feel better. She's upset with you. How do we get back to this place where we're calm again? And when you don't hear from her, you freak the fuck out. And this is, again, one of those spells that breaks within just a week or two. And once you know the game, once you know you have the emotional tools and you know how to go through that, and you know how to watch it, and you know how to release it, then what ends up happening is it just works itself out really quickly. And then you get some clarity for the first time in your life, maybe the first time in your entire marriage. And so what we don't want to do is get with somebody else, because when you get with somebody else, all it does is satiate that emotional addiction. And so I've seen this time and time again. The guy will come into the program, he'll start doing some of the work, then he'll get another relationship. He's like, I'm good, Ed. I don't need this anymore. See ya. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I found another woman. Everything's good. I'm like, oh, shit. Here we go. This guy's going to fall flat on his fucking face. And I'll tell him, and he won't listen. And then he'll come back about 4 months later. He's like, Ed, you're fucking right. Holy shit. It's worse than ever. She turned out to be just like my ex-wife. She pretended to be everything I wanted. I thought she was like the next thing. She was like my woman, my dream girl. Now she's like completely different. What happened? I'm like, dude, you were narc bait. You were with this narcissistic woman for years, and then you just went into the love bomb cycle with somebody else who just validated you constantly, gave you all this approval and all this validation that you were starving for. You were starving for that shit. And this woman fed it up on a silver platter, and you ate it up like a hungry dog. The problem is that you don't know how to generate it for yourself. And so you just keep going from relationship to relationship to relationship. You monkey branch between women. And so by jumping into another relationship, you stunt the process of your own health, your own self-growth, your own healing. And so we have to stop that. You have to be willing to, one, look at your own pain and stay in that pocket and not get into the temptation of being with another woman. And three, sedation. So again, it's going to go into the first and second one. Like, you don't want to neglect your self-care. You don't want to neglect your own emotional state. You have to go and dive in. And so guys will go and they'll sedate instead. So being with another woman is really just a form of sedation, because we don't have to go within and figure out what's happening and figure out our own psychology and unravel that so we can become whole and harmonize our internal world. And so what he'll do is he'll sedate. He'll start drinking. He'll look at more porn. He'll go out with friends all the time, just trying to keep his mind busy. And you'll hear this. You'll go to the counselor, and your counselor will tell you this. You should just keep busy. Keep busy. Keep your mind off of things. You know what that is? Which is pretty ironic, because they talk about repressed emotions and suppression all the time. All you're doing when you're sedating and you're distracting yourself with other thoughts is it's a mechanism of sedation. You're not willing to go into the pit, which means you're not willing to face yourself, which means you're not willing to actually resolve the problem. You just want to run and hide. Now, I'm going to go run and hide by keeping my mind off of things. Can't believe they tell people to do this. It's absolutely horrendous. Just keep your mind off of it, and eventually it'll get better. No, it won't. Time doesn't fucking heal. They'll tell you that time heals. No, it helps you forget. And then what happens when you run across your ex-wife in 3 years and she's with some dude and you see her and you go right back into the pit. You're like, fuck, I thought I was over this. No, dude, you just forgot. The trigger was still there. The pain was still within. And what ends up happening is you leverage time to help you forget. You thought that you were in a better place, but you're not. You were still there. You stuffed all that shit in a box in the corner, just like all the other things. And so now you're in this situation where your ex-wife is with somebody else, and you would go right back into the pit, even if you're married again. You're like, oh, she was still the one that got away. What am I going to do? It's like, well, how about you just deal with your shit like the rest of us, and then we move forward and find somebody even better. So then you're like, Stacy who? I don't remember her last name. And so that's where we want to be. That's what truly moving on after a betrayal is to actually get to this place where you're just indifferent about it. Like, okay, cool, I wish her well. And the last thing that you have to avoid is trying to go it alone. Don't try to handle this on your own. Guys are always, they're afraid to open up. They're afraid to tell other people what's going on. And I understand, I was afraid as well. Like back in 2015, what happened to me, I didn't want to tell anybody. I didn't tell my friends, I didn't tell my family, because I didn't want them to know what was going on, because if they have to see it, like if we reconciled and they saw her at Christmas, I can only imagine the hateful glances and the snide comments they get, especially from my mom. And so like I hid it from everybody. I didn't want anybody to know. For one, it was embarrassing. It was like, how can my wife cheat on me? That's ridiculous. It's embarrassing. Like, what am I not? It's just telling everybody that I'm not a man. And then you get these other people who are like these grifters. They're like drama grifters. Like, oh, tell me what happened. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. It's like, I don't want to tell you about all this stuff. You're just feeding. All you're doing is you're gossip feeding off of my pain, living vicariously through my pain. That's not cool. That's not a good friend. That's like a parasite. So I don't want to talk to people. Or they'll give you all this sympathy. I'm so sorry, man. It's like, dude, I don't need sympathy. I just need you to just hang with me. Just hang with me for a bit. And just say, yeah, I got you, bro. That's what I needed. But I didn't have that kind of support network at all. I didn't have anybody. I tried to talk to people around me. Tried to talk to a few people, but my wife had become my entire life. I didn't have friends. I had one guy I thought was my best friend, but then he made the problem about him because I didn't tell him first. Like, what the fuck? Talked to some coworkers. And that kind of helped, because a lot of these guys have been cheated on too, or they went through a divorce. Like, bro, it's going to be fine. It feels like the end of the world right now, but just wait. Time makes it heal. And it was like, I could see that if I let this turn into a time heals moment, I'm going to be very bitter moving forward. And I don't want to live life bitter. Every man that I saw who's gone through a divorce, and look at your life and look at the people you know in your life who've gone through a divorce, they're still fucking bitter. None of these people have resolved any of the problems in their marriages, and then they've left their marriages and they've gotten to another relationship, but they still have the same problems and are bitter towards their ex. And it's like, I don't want to be that way. I don't want to be bitter. I want to have an amazing relationship. I want to have the perfect woman in my life. And so that's what I did. I endeavored to do that. And I busted my fucking ass to do it too. And I got it. And I'm very successful in my marriage. And I love my wife. And I have 2 new kids with her. And it's amazing. I have a 10-month-old. His name is Bruce, brand new baby boy. He's hilarious. Love him. And so you can do this as well. In fact, I know you can do this because we've rooted out the patterns. The patterns are in every man that's ever come through the Broken to Badass program, and soon to be the Soul Seducer program, which is a next level fucking program. That's why it's called Soul Seducers. You can only imagine what that'd be like. And so if you want to endeavor to reach right into your woman's soul and have that first critical conversation, lead her back into her heart instead of having all this fighting and manipulation and betrayal, and get to this place where you can lead powerfully in your relationship, where you get to feel like you can do whatever you want, and she looks up to you. You ever had a woman look up to you? You ever had a woman like listen to everything you say and actually take your advice and apply it to her life? Have you ever been with a woman who's growth-oriented? You ever been with a woman who's empathetic and cares about you and really gives a shit about you? Who would never think to try to manipulate you, talk down to you, make a snide comment, well, that can be you. You can have that in your life. It's not that far away. The bar isn't that high. The problem is that men just don't know how to lead the relationship properly. And that's what the whole reason we built the Broken to Badass program and soon to be Soul Seducer program. If you want to know more about that, I've talked about it a lot here on this video. It's going to be in the link in the description below. Go in there, check it out. Click on that link, fill out the survey to see if you're a good fit, because we don't take everybody, because we only want guys that are going to win. We're not in the business of convincing losers to win. I am done with that fucking game where I'm trying to convince a guy whose entire life is blowing up in front of him, but I can't get him to watch one fucking video. Yeah, that guy could go fuck himself. He deserves everything he gets. So I'm going to focus on the winners, the guy who wants to actually fucking win, and those guys I'm going to help skyrocket to the moon. And we have a lot of these guys, and it's awesome, and it is an honor to serve you and go and run this game with you guys. So anyways, I've talked enough in this video. If you like this video, hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to see more. Brother, I love you, and I'll see you in the next one.